Hey, so I'm going to talk about something that was a little confusing to me when I started out doing computational chemistry, and that's running jobs on the Sol computer itself and how to interact with the submission scripts and the SLURM job manager. So SLURM is the program that sort of decides what jobs get run on the computer when and where and on what partitions. Um, and that's also how you can tell the computer where you want your jobs to run. So if you've done the first day at the Ferdian lab, you've probably done the workshop with azobenzene and run a few computations, and you've probably seen these types of files before. So I'm mostly going to talk about the one on the left, which is the submission script, um, and that's what confused me a lot because I wasn't really sure what it was doing and why we needed it. So essentially, what it does is it's how we tell the job manager where to run our job, and it like sets up also the directory for it to save files while it's working, and then bring them back to wherever we call the job from. So the first bit, that's the part that Slurm actually reads, and I'll talk more about that later. But the rest of it just runs like a normal bash script. And if you don't know what a bash script is, it's just a little piece of code that you can use to, interact and run routine operations again and again. Um, so if you do or don't have a little background in computer science, I would either way highly recommend learning a little bit of bash because it'll save you a lot of time in computational chemistry. But essentially, this rest of the script could be anything. Um, Depending on what you're trying to do. For running Gaussian calculations, this is perfect and you don't need to change it. And the magic line is right there in the middle that actually calls the Gaussian program and says, hey, look at this .com file and read what kind of calculation you're supposed to do, and do that. But the special, and then, there's a few bits in the com file that do actually relate to which computer you're running on. But for the most part, that's just with respect to the the chemistry and the calculation itself. Um, so the piece that really you'll be interacting with, I guess, of the submission script the most is the SBatch section. And so essentially what's going to happen is you'll use these different keywords here to say, hey, we have this whole array of computers that are all linked up in this big cluster, this big supercomputer. Where is it going to go? So this specific one is going to say, okay, use the chem partition. That's the bottom line there. Partition equals chem. And use one node of it. That's the first line, the SBatch N1 that says use one node. We don't need all 6 of them for this job. It's just a simple optimization. You shouldn't need, I've never used more than one node for any calculation, so I don't think that's very common. And then next you'll tell it how much of the node you want to use. So all of the nodes on the chem partition have 36 cores. This job here is asking for all 36, so it's gonna wait in line. The job's gonna wait for other jobs to go through and finish up until the entire one node is cleared out, and then it'll stick your job in there and use it. That's also what the exclusive keyword there does. It says don't let any other jobs run on this node while this job is going. But if I wanted to sort of save a little time, let's say I had a light calculation that should be quick and not take a lot of time to run anyway, I'll say, okay, I'll use fewer cores for it. I could change n tasks per node to 4, get rid of the exclusive, and then maybe I'd be able to, maybe the job scheduler will say, hey, look, there's a little gap there at the end, and sort of stick your job in and use up that core, that node completely, and get your job running. So it's sort of like a dance of saying how expensive is this job? How much time does it need? That's what the T slash T, this job asks for 10 hours. It could be more or less depending on how big your molecule is, what you're trying to do, what your level of theory is. Also, don't want to ask for too much time all the time because the scheduler will maybe put you lower and in the queue, and it'll take longer to actually start running. If other jobs will get quicker and get out of the way. So only ask for the time and the cores that you need. And, sometimes if you just have a long thing and a bunch of stuff, you might just want to submit them all, let them run overnight, ask for as much as you're going to need. But sometimes if you need to get something done really quick while you're sitting here, it can be worth your time to play around with the submission script and do stuff like that. So yeah, mostly the header is the thing I change the most. And I also, change a few things in the Gaussian.com file to make things work and line up. The rest of it will be the same for most of the Gaussian calculations you're going to run. There's a few cases where you're going to switch it up. But my big takeaway is that the rest of the script can do anything that a normal script can do. So if you have a piece of your data workup that takes a few minutes, I like to do this for CubeGen a lot. When I just want to look at all the orbitals, get all the cube files, that can take a while. So I have a script that's just like this. The top few lines are the same. Not exactly the same. They're a little smaller because it's a quicker calculation, but the rest of it just says CubeGen for however many orbitals I need to look at. I often just submit a job just to make them all, and then I'll have them if I need them, rather than waiting the time to wait for each one to go independently running on the head node. So that's my little guide on the submission script. Thanks a lot.